I have been guilty of asking men on like the first or second date what prescriptions they're on, especially dating men over 40. I want to know, like, do you have high blood pressure? Are you pre-diabetic? Like, what are your health concerns that I am eventually going to have to deal with? I take very good care of my body, eat well, I exercise, and I want a partner that does the same.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll see how a woman tells us why her 20-year marriage ended. We'll also analyze another story where a woman decides to end her 10-year marriage just when her husband was close to retirement. We want you to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 150,000 subscribers before March, and with your support, we'll achieve it. Don't forget to leave us your comments and activate notifications so you don't miss any videos. Now, let's get started.
When I got divorced, it was difficult to imagine what my life would look like. My husband was going to be retiring in the next couple of years, so we had been busy building our future together, and it was difficult to kind of let that go and then start creating a future for myself. There's this idea that you don't know what you don't know. And so I started focusing on the way things made me feel. I'm in such a great place mentally. I'm so happy. And I'm just so grateful for having the strength to rebuild my life. One day I'd like to find somebody to share my life with. And it has really made me raise my standards of significant others. It's like I want to find somebody that fits in my life, but I don't want to give up any of my joy or peace, and I'm not willing to sacrifice that any longer. I'm not willing to settle.
There are two clear things here. First, her famous, "I'm not willing to settle," and second, her focus on how it made me feel. Women make emotional decisions, not logical ones. She says she wanted to find herself, but did she really get lost? Or did she just want to escape the responsibility of being with her older husband after 10 years together? The worst part is that after saying this, she changes the story and now accuses him. First, she left because she wanted to be happy, and now her ex is the villain in the next video.
Leaving my 10-year marriage to an addict was the most difficult decision I've ever had to make. There was so much emotional abuse, gaslighting, manipulation to hide his addiction that I was questioning my own sanity, which resulted in me not trusting myself, not listening to my gut instinct, and not even feeling like I could make everyday decisions, much less bigger decisions. He chipped away at my self-worth, and I didn't think that I deserved better. I didn't really understand what better could look like because I'd been in it for so long. When someone's constantly invalidating your feelings and telling you that you're overreacting, especially when it's someone that you love and trust, you start to believe them. I think it's normal to feel scared and uncertain when you're thinking about leaving, and there's definitely some shit to work through afterwards, but there is also an immediate sense of relief. But yeah, I finally feel like I can breathe again.
Brothers, when you spend 10 years married to a woman without kids, without building a family, and being older than her, the risk is clear. As she herself says, her husband was close to retirement, which means he was several years older than her. This is what many men go through. After years of marriage, when they're nearing retirement, the woman files for divorce. Why? Because she doesn't want to take care of him in his old age. And of course, before leaving, she makes sure to get benefits from the divorce. Let's not fool ourselves. This was planned.
I just saw a video of a woman sharing about how her husband of 25 years just kind of upped and left the family for an affair partner. And It's prompting me, since I'm in storytelling mode, to tell you all about how my husband and partner of 20 years kind of did the same thing. We had started dating when I was 19. We married when I was 25. And now I'm 39 and he's turning 40. And he was starting to act differently. The truth is, we weren't the right people for each other, and we really were not happily married. We had 2 children. We loved each other, but we just really weren't the right fit for each other. I wanted to leave many, many times over those 20 years, but I just couldn't do it. And I never would have done it. But anyway, he's approaching his 40th birthday, and he's starting to change. He works in law enforcement, and he's working out at like 3 or 4 a.m., supposedly before work. And at some point, a woman from his job starts working out with them. And I find it just a little odd. But my husband at the time had like not ever done anything like stepped out on me. There were no nights that he went out with guy friends or did anything. And I remember in June of this particular year, 2013, him telling me about how this woman that he was also working out with, how she called him and told him all about how she thought her husband was gay. And I remember he was shaving and I was in the shower and he's telling me the story. And it's just very odd because the truth of the matter was he wasn't the kind of person that someone would call and talk to about anything. And I got out of the shower and I was like, wait, what? She called you to talk to you about her husband? That's really weird. Next thing you know, she pops up on his Facebook page. So now I'm like watching. And there's nothing that seems really suspicious.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
I want you to notice when she herself admits that she often thought about leaving. Don't get me wrong, I will never justify infidelity. But if a man is in an unhappy marriage, he also has the right to leave without having to cheat. She says they weren't compatible, that she wanted to leave many times, but never would have actually done it. That makes 2 things clear. The relationship had been dead for a long time, and, as often happens, when a woman no longer loves her husband, she only stays out of convenience or for the kids. When did she start paying attention to her husband? When she saw another woman looking at him. Suddenly, she cared. That man triggered her competitive instinct, but before that, she didn't even notice him.
We have a family trip up north and he bails out saying he can't get out of work. And when I come home from that trip, my marriage is like basically over. I don't realize it at the time, but now I know that it was. It was almost 4th of July, and on 4th of July week, he went out for the first time, and he didn't come home the whole night. And he supposedly was with this woman's friend and her husband. And then later I would find out that she was there. And I was up the whole night. I mean, I had been with this guy for 20 years. He had never not come home. And, you know, I was crushed. I was crushed. He came home. He was really early, like the next morning, like 6 a.m. And things would just go, you know, bad real quick. And I remember I would be, you know, telling him, look, if you want out, go. Like, just go. If there's something going on with that woman, go. Do not stay here and make things messy. And all he was like in such turmoil. He started disappearing and, you know, being like going earlier before work and later. And I knew something was up. And I had a really big trip, a trip to Hawaii for a conference that my parents were coming with. And I was taking the kids and he was supposed to come. And the night before the trip, he didn't come home until really, really late. And he hadn't packed. And when he came in, I said to him, look, I'm going to the trip. If you don't want your family anymore, if you don't want me and this family, stay behind. Let me go and have 2 weeks to like get my life together with my parents So when I come home, I can like regroup. Well, very last minute, he throws everything, that he wants to bring on the trip into the suitcase. And the next morning, it's super early. Of course, I haven't slept a minute. He comes and, we're in the car, and I'm sitting behind him, and I'm watching him flip through pictures on his phone, and he has a picture of her, and he stops and he looks. And my heart was crushed. We go to Hawaii. I'm there for a conference. We've got our babies, and he keeps sneaking off. Well, he doesn't know that I can read all his Facebook messages, and he's writing her and make plans to go call her. And, I try to confront him, and it just, he lies. When we come home, I try a different tactic. All he's saying is this is his friend.
This man clearly wanted out of the marriage but was caught in a dilemma. Leave with the new woman and lose everything in the divorce. Many men get married full of hope, but over time, their marriage becomes monotonous, boring, and they feel unappreciated. Then, suddenly, a woman comes along who treats them well, makes them feel desired, and gives them the intimacy they no longer have at home. I'm not justifying it. If a man is in a bad relationship, he should leave first. But if he does it through infidelity, the divorce will ruin him. And after 20 years of marriage, we all know how this would end for him. But let's see how it all turned out.
This video is getting long, but, watch what you want. So this is just his friend. So I'm like, okay, if this is your friend, let me meet her. Bring her over, right? Your friend is my friend. Anyway, a week later, after so much fighting, he would go supposedly to a hotel, but he didn't go to a hotel. He claims he slept in his truck that night. And the next night, he said he was going to his sergeant's house. And I was a nervous wreck. Again, my husband had never done anything like this. But I didn't know how to do, find my iPhone or anything. And I was up, crying and trying to figure things out and knowing he was lying. And I remembered the Boston bombers. And sorry, I have bronchitis, and how they stole that guy's car with his phone in it, and they were able to track it. And so I Googled how they found that guy in the car, and then I realized, hey, we have Find My iPhone. Anyway, I was able to do a lot of sleuthing and find him on the Find My iPhone, and then find out that was her house. I would go and see that he was parked there, but I didn't confront him. Go up to the house. I was scared because they're both in law enforcement, and I really didn't want to show down. Plus, I had my young son with me. So what would happen is I would text him a picture of my ring and taking it off, and the next day he tried to come home, and he packed his bags, and he said he was moving in with her. And she was just going to rent him a room while he figured some shit out. So I was like, look, dude, it doesn't work that way. I'm getting a divorce attorney or a counselor, and it's going one way or the other. Your choice. He told me I couldn't tell him who he could be friends with, and they were just friends. And meanwhile, he was going to go live with her and her, prepubescent daughter. No, I don't think so. You have 2 children here. So he moved out. That same night he moved out, he tried to come home. I didn't want to let him. I think he went to a hotel that night. Then he moved into a townhouse, like a family home, thing for a while. And we would ultimately get divorced. And then he married her. After spending a whole year telling me she was just a friend and nothing important to him, he married her. And they are still married. So that's the story of how I found out my husband was cheating. And anyway, make it a great night. Take good care.
Hey, bro. What? Oh, my God!
Even I didn't expect that plot twist. In short, she didn't leave him. He left her. He went with the other woman and married her. This isn't what a man who's just playing around does. This is what someone completely unhappy in his marriage does. If in less than a year he found another woman, moved in with her, got divorced, and remarried, it's clear that he had mentally checked out of that marriage a long time ago. She keeps insisting that they weren't compatible and that she often thought about leaving. She just needed a trigger to actually do it. A study on infidelity in married men reveals that 56% of affairs happen due to sexual dissatisfaction. It's not hard to imagine that this man fell into that statistic. He left, got divorced, and married someone else. That tells you everything. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What do you think about these two stories? What do you believe was the real reason this man left his marriage so quickly? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.